What happens when a championship level coach takes over a middle school team of beginners? In this heartwarming and hilarious episode of Car Ride Conversations, we continue the series with my dad and former coach by looking at what happens when experience meets inexperience and what it means to meet athletes where they're at. You'll hear laugh out loud stories from our middle school softball days, including a stolen base mishap, what my dad learned from coaching athletes at all skill levels, and how those shared sports moments help shape our father-daughter bond far beyond the diamond. Whether you're a parent, coach, or both, this episode is a reminder of why shared experiences matter, how humor builds connection, and why growth in sports isn't just about performance, it's about presence. Welcome to Confident Common Clutch Car Ride Conversations. I'm your host, Valerie Alston, here to help parents and athletes spark meaningful dialogue about mental toughness, resilience, and confidence. Whether you're headed to practice, a game, or just running errands around town, this podcast is your go-to for building stronger relationships and lifelong skills, one car ride at a time. Let's dive in. I would actually, so I have an interesting side note on this, is because you actually, I don't remember how you got roped into this, but my middle school decided that they were going to have a softball team.
Yeah.
And they had no coach, no anybody. And so again, I don't know how you got roped into it, but you ended up being the coach. And I'm so curious about what your experience was, because up until that point, you had only ever really been coaching, we'll call elite athletes, like girls that had been
Mhm.
playing the sport for a long time and by my middle school years. What was that experience coming in and having to go way back to some of these girls barely know how to throw?
Yeah, that was fun actually, because what happened is we have all the practice plans and the strategies and the stuff we use at travel ball, and
Yeah.
I got all this history. You come into the first practice and it's okay, what hand does the glove go on?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, rip that stuff up. Let's start
Reset.
here. Let's start here. And that was it was much more foundational, just getting people to enjoy the game and have fun
Yeah.
and hopefully score a few runs and compete and that kind of stuff. And it actually produced a couple of the more funny moments. I remember we were in the playoffs. Remember, we made playoffs.
Oh
Woohoo.
yeah, middle school. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The middle school playoffs.
And there was it, who's your friend, this
Yeah.
water skier?
Cody?
No, the water skier,
Oh, Krista.
Krista. Krista.
Krista. Yeah.
She was on first base and she was a great athlete and had no clue, never played softball before, and she didn't know what anything meant. So we had worked on signals for stealing. I get there's a
It was
runner
first
on,
and third. It was a first
yeah,
and
it's
third
first and
situation.
third. So
Yeah.
she said, I gave her the sign for stealing on the first pitch, and she stays there. That's how she must have missed it. So I looked at her, said, Krista, I gave her the sign for stealing. And it's the next pitch, she stayed there. So I looked over at her and I said, Krista, steal second base on the
On
next
the
pitch.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then all the
Yeah.
parents on
But
the
the
other
funniest,
side were like, she's going.
yeah, so it was like you realize, am I trying to teach at a level that the child is not ready at yet? And it was funny because, like you said, the parents on the other side said, as soon as the pitch was thrown, you started yelling, "She's going!" Of course, it just those are funny moments.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
getting them. I remember when somebody threw her a fast pitch and she went, "Oh, wow, that was scary."
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was something. I think Raph asked me to do it, and
Okay.
they didn't have anybody else. So I thought, oh, what the heck? So it was interesting,
Yeah.
but definitely not.
Somebody caught their first fly ball out in left field, and that was like we all cheered about that.
Yeah,
Remember, there was a lot of
it
just
was that kind of a team, right?
yeah, yeah.
Woo! And yeah, and I remember they got mad at Binky because she slid into second base and knocked somebody down, and it was like, how do you not play? You know how to play, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, ooh, okay. But yeah, what it reminds you of is everybody has a place that they are at, and you can't jump 10 levels and start talking to them about this and they haven't done this.
The basics, yeah.
And yeah, that team we had what?
I think we had two people who had never played before because it was me,
And
because
me.
it was the middle school team. So it was basically all my friends. And we, again, small school. So we,
Yeah, but
it was like Cammy and like all these girls. Like a couple people had played rec ball before, but that was pretty
yeah,
much it. Like
yeah.
was
But
whatever we played in PE, they did.
we played one or
Somebody must have Cammy pitched. I don't know. Did I have to pitch a couple times?
No,
Because,
no, you never
okay,
pitched. It was, I don't know who it was. I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But anyway, yeah.
But that, I mean, again, it just reminds you as a coach, right? You can't, you have to, your expectations have to be,
Yeah, you got to
that's
meet
the
people where
starting
they're
point.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, I know we've talked a lot about this over the years, and so I'm from, we've had some of these conversations, but I'd love to hear your take on how sports, how do you think our relationship would be different if we hadn't have shared all those coaching experiences?
Oh boy.
Or would it, I don't even know that we can answer that, but
Yeah.
because it just was that was our relationship.
When you look at the just the time that we spent together, like I said, it was probably 48 weekends a year you're playing softball,
Yeah,
plus
and then all the
plus
car
the
rides because we were
plus the
part
car
of the
rides for
yeah
practice
part of
because
the
we
reason why I
practice.
created this podcast. Those car rides were so formative and important for me.
Well, we had
Minimum we were driving 45 minutes one way.
to practice a couple times a week
Yeah,
plus the games, so
yeah,
a lot of time, and it gave us a starting point for discussions, right? I think
yeah,
they went off softball quite a bit.
yeah. Often we were talking about all kinds of stuff.
See, I can't say, I think because sports was such a big part of your persona that I'm sure it would be different. I would like to think that we would have bonded on something else, but if it was, I don't know what it would have been because you were a good student
Yeah,
and
yeah.
your mom wanted you to be a ballerina and all that stuff. So,
I still love dancing. She did get a dancer. I just didn't dance
so
competitively.
I think the thing it would have been not as robust is I think just the confidence or I tell people now when they ask me about it, I say, my daughter and I can communicate with hand signals.
Yeah,
I know when you're upset, when you're not, because
yeah,
I've seen it in all varieties. I could tell when you got into the batter's box when you were not going to get a hit because your face would look different, and I would call timeout and say, get it together here, because I could see when there's focus and when there's not, and I saw that when like in some of our friends, even in college, you could tell when they got in the batter's box, they were done. They were never
yep,
going to hit that ball because they
yeah,
had been badgered or whatever was going to happen, and you're like, I guess just watching that confidence grow, I think it gave you the vehicle for battle testing yourself. It gave us a common ground to discuss, but then I don't know you because if you hadn't played sports and you still love baseball, because we still
yeah.
baseball
We had
games.
that Storm Stadium. We had a minor league baseball team in our town for when I was growing up, and we went to games. So we had season tickets because they were relatively inexpensive at the time, and sometimes we would just go for a couple innings. But like we went to go get dinner at the ballpark. We'd eat peanuts and hot dogs and
Yeah,
talk baseball.
I think somehow baseball would have still been a part of it.
Yeah,
Maybe it would have been.
yeah,
It's certainly, I don't know. I don't know what it would have been. I'm happy it worked out the way it did, but
yeah,
I just it's one of those things where I don't if if you hadn't been sports, what would it have been? Because what our philosophy as parents was is you have to be trying to be good at something. You can't be a sitting at home person that does nothing.
yeah.
So if maybe it would have been music, maybe it would have been dance, maybe it would have been
Something.
something else, but I would like to think I would have been equally as supportive of you as a dancer or a musician or whatever you did. And like with Jeff and I, we did not bond over baseball, but I just loved watching him play football.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good
And
time.
that was good times for us because we finally got our common connection
You
there.
got your father-son moments.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's such a target-rich environment for good experiences. I think if you're at home and you're upstairs and I'm downstairs and you never communicate, that would be pretty horrible. So I think it gave you those shared experiences that let you experience each other, figure out what you're all about, and be part of that growth. But thinking of you as a little 8-year-old running out on the field with your knee pads all covering up your whole leg and your goggles on versus walking on the field as a stud at the University of Minnesota, that's a big growth. That's a lot of
Yeah,
growth, right?
yeah.
And for taking that left-handed bat and being able to hit the ball over the wall is pretty impressive to me. That just doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah, took a lot of work. All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed that little snippet from the conversation between me and my dad, reminiscing over some middle school shenanigans. Before we dive into our conversation prompts for today, I just want to give a request that if you are enjoying these episodes, please share them with someone, whether it's a fellow parent or a fellow coach. Share the episodes, right? The more y'all share this, the more people out there can benefit from these conversations with their kiddos and their athletes. All right, y'all. So, a quick reminder of the rules of the conversation. Remember, there are no wrong answers. Please make sure you take turns talking and listening with each other. Minimize the distractions as best you can. And remember that you can pause after each individual question and discuss it, or you can listen to all of the questions and just discuss to your heart's content, whatever's relevant for you and your kiddo in the car. All right, y'all. So let's start with our first question. Have you ever been a part of a team or a group where you felt a little behind or unsure? Parents, this can be you too. Can you share a time that you felt that way as well? Maybe in your own sports career or at work or just any kind of environment. And most importantly, parents, if you could share, how did you get more comfortable or confident when you were that person that was maybe not up to speed as everyone else around you? All right. Question two. What helps you feel supported when you're learning something new, especially when it's frustrating? We know that learning can be tough because you're going to have a lot of failure moments when you're learning. And so together talking about how you can do a better job of encouraging each other during those beginner moments, whether as a parent, first time coach, you're learning how to coach, or as the athlete in the car learning your sport. How can you support each other in this effort as you learn and grow and maybe be a little frustrated every now and then? Okay. What's one activity or experience that you've shared together that has helped you feel more connected, like you're really on the same team? Is there something, and if you haven't really had a big bonding moment over something silly or fun or an activity together as parent and child, is there something new that you could try to maybe build a few more of those moments into the mixture of parenting and kidding and, driving around all over the place to be at your various events? What could you do to bring more connection? All right, and our final question of today. Why is it important for coaches and or parents to meet kids where they're at instead of expecting them to be perfect right away? And kids, I really want you to think about that from your perspective. When you feel like you have to be perfect, what does that do to you? And what could the adults in your life do to help you overcome some of that? Because I mean, I can at least tell you I am not a parent, but I'm a very proud auntie as well as a coach to many youth athletes out there. Um, I just want to tell you, it is virtually impossible. Is You're never going to be perfect. And I hope that the parents and adults in your life, teachers, coaches, etc., are not intentionally telling you you have to be. We're human. Sometimes we inadvertently say things that make you think we want you to be perfect, but we know you can't be, okay? So I just want you to think about that, in particular, parents in the car. What's one area that you feel like you're still growing, and what kind of support might help you grow in that area? And what could your parent or coach do to help you? Okay? So talk amongst yourselves. All right, y'all. So keep those conversations rolling and let's make those car rides count. Thank you again for joining me on Confident, Calm, and Clutch Car Ride Conversations. Again, if you found this episode helpful, please share it with at least one other parent or coach that could use a little more inspiration. Now, if you're looking for more weekly tips or mindset shifts or additional conversation prompts to help you and your athletes stay confident, calm, and clutch, please consider subscribing to my newsletter at www.confidentcalmclutch.com/newsletter. And if you have any suggestions for new topics or things that you would like to hear about or discuss on this podcast, there is a link in my show notes where you could share some ideas with me. You could also always DM me at Alston Coaching on either Facebook or Instagram. And I absolutely look forward to hearing from you and continuing these conversations as we go forward. All right, y'all. I hope you have an amazing day. See you next time.